So this is what our basement looks like, not at my house, but at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Does anybody know what that is? Gold. All right. So we have, in the basement of the Fed, we have a lot of gold. We have, and this is just in the New York Bank. This is 80 feet below the street level. The building is built on bedrock, the bedrock of Manhattan, and we have a lot of gold out there, and it's pretty impressive to see. But what I want to do now is before I get into discussion here, I want to test and see how well you're being taught up here, or how well you've done your research. And we do have some cash prizes for this, so I hope you're ready. And so let's start out with question number 1. And we'll go by hands. How many Federal Reserve districts are there? You got to raise your hand up high. Oh, it's going to be a long night. Yes? Okay, well, there are at least 9. Okay? Anybody else? 15. There's not quite 15, but if you kind of work in the middle there. 12. There are 12, and there they are. So you answered the first question. You get... Oh, no, where did it go? There it is. I told you, cash prizes. That's a shredded money pen. Okay, so there's 12 districts, and we're way over there on the east side in New York. And you can see there's a lot of them concentrated over on the East Coast. Anybody have any idea why they're concentrated on the East Coast? Population, sure. No prize for that, sorry. Question 2. Which district's head office, now that I've taken the map off, is a little harder, huh? Which district's head office is closest to Houghton?
1.
Which one?
1.
District 1? No. Give me the name of the, looking for the name of the city.
New York City.
New York? New York State, we're in New York State, but there's actually a district's head office that's closer to Houghton than the one in New York State. There was a hand down here.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? There isn't one in Pennsylvania.
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Very good. Are you from Ohio?
No.
Okay. More shredded money. Don't worry, there's some good stuff in here too. Okay. Okay, number 3. True or false? Okay, somebody asked me before I met with some students. I told them I was going to ask some questions. I said, will there be true false? I said, yes. Okay, true false. The Federal Reserve Board of Governors has a majority of women on it. True. It's a 50-50 shot, I know. So, Janet Yellen, Vice Chair, Elizabeth Duke, Daniel Tarullo, and Sarah Raskin. That was a tough one. Who's here? Okay. That's actually special shredded money. That I had imported from Kansas City. They could not send barbecue sauce with it. I'm sorry, but at least we got some good money there. Okay. Question 4. Here's where we're getting a little deeper here. So, main functions of the Federal Reserve. I'll take one. Okay, anybody got one main function of the Federal Reserve?
Lender of last resort.
Lender of last resort? It's one of their functions. Okay. That goes along with a broader function that has the letters MP that start with monetary policy. Okay. So there's one. Okay, you get the prize, but let's keep going through here. Anybody else got a second one?
Store of gold, backup of currency.
Store of gold. Yeah, we got that. Not a main function, but it is something that we do. That's true.
Check clearing?
Check clearing. Actually, it's interesting you say that. We used to be real big in check clearing, but does anybody write checks in this room? Okay. About maybe 10 or 15 of you write checks. Everybody else pays their bills online, right? That's what the trend's been. So we've kind of worked our way out of the check clearing business.
Is it set interest rates or anything like that?
Okay, that's part of the monetary policy, right? So another one here, bank supervision and regulation. You know, we're in charge of examining banks, making sure that they are complying with laws and regulations. So banking supervision and regulation is a big part. And then the third part is about payment systems. So check clearing sort of rolls into that. But that's these are sort of the three main functions that we have at the Fed. This is going to be a two-stop. That's the big bag, because that was a tough one. Now, that goes back to him. I'm sorry. That goes in the back. He got the monetary policy. Okay. So, bonus questions. Okay, these are for big dollars. What recent legislation is reshaping the banking regulatory environment? Bob Van Wickelen is not allowed to answer this question. It's Dodd-Frank. Very good. So it's the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. Like I said, this was for the big money. Feel free to share either one. Okay, and lastly, under this recent legislation, so under Dodd-Frank, can anybody name a couple of the government, or any of the government agencies that were formed under the Dodd-Frank Act? This is a really tricky one, I know. That's why it was for 100 grand. Okay, we're going to leave that one up there in case I have another question and someone gets that. So here are a couple of them. Financial Stability Oversight Council. Again, Washington loves acronyms, don't they, Bob? FSOC, OFR, and so on and so on. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This one is probably been in the news a little bit more than some of the other ones. This is one that's going to look at more credit card laws and loans and mortgages and so on to protect consumers, and then a couple other ones for insurance and credit rating. So that's that. And you want that backdrop back on there, Ken?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. Let me get this going here. All right. So what I want to talk to you about today, if I get the right folder. I thought I could spend, I could spend a couple hours talking about the Fed, but we only have until, what, about 6:15, and anything that I could tell you about the Fed, you probably can find online, and any secrets that I could tell you about the Fed, I really can't. So what I can share with you today is experience that I've had over 20 plus years of time at the Fed, and it's not just the work experience I want to share about, but I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about relationships in the sense of the opportunities that have come along in my life and where I've taken a certain step toward, moving in the direction of those opportunities, and how that has panned out, and where I've taken other steps to move away from those opportunities, and why I did that, and why I should have taken advantage more of those opportunities. I want the time to be reflective for you too, to think about the opportunities that come along in your lives. We have a lot of opportunities that come for how we spend our free time. I trust they have free time up here, Ken, a little bit? There is certainly an opportunity to get out beyond the confines of the campus to do that. Before I get into the discussion here, the lawyers at the Federal Reserve Bank say I have to say this, so I will say this. Anything that I share today are my views. They're not the views of the Federal Reserve. So that's just a little thing I have to say. And you got that on tape, right? Okay, good. All right. Tape. Oh, wow, I sound old, don't I? Nobody knows tape anymore. Okay, so let me ask this question. What are some of the opportunities that you have for building relationships around here? What are some? Let's start with the on-campus opportunities. What do you see?
Professors and students.
Professors and students.
Sport teams.
Sport or support?
Sport.
Sport? Okay, sport and support teams, I guess, too, right? So sports teams, okay. Stretch out beyond the college, still within Houghton now. What else is there? Churches, okay. People in the community, right? How many people live in Houghton that don't work for the college? There's a few, right? There's still a few people that do that? A couple? Has it changed that much since I left? How about taking off campus, way off campus? Go back home. You have opportunities there too? Where do you have opportunities to build relationships?
Community service.
Community service, okay. Local churches at home, right? So what I want to go through tonight, I want to talk about some of the relationships that I've had and the opportunities that came to me, both as a student and in the workplace, and then in my community in Westwood, New Jersey, which is in northeastern New Jersey. Some of these opportunities I gained from, some of them I lost out on, and I just want to step through these things. But I'm going to start out with my father, because my father is probably one of the bigger influences that I've had in my life. My dad passed away about 4 years ago, and we had a great, what I think was a great relationship really throughout his life, or throughout my life, because he was here more than I was. But I'm the youngest of 4 kids. Anybody the youngest in the room? Okay. Are you the ones that kind of tailed your parents around sometimes when you were younger and helped out around the house? You know, for me it was, I'm the guy that carried the toolbox around, right? And I'm the one that held the light as Dad did the work on stuff, right? I see it loud. You did the same thing, didn't you? And, you know, to me it was like, oh man, Dad, you're going to do this again? You know, why? But, you know, did you get anything out of that experience?
Yeah.
What'd you get out of it?
Just knowledge of how he did things.
Right. So now you can take that knowledge and you can go and, you know, you can fix whatever. You can do plumbing, you can do electrical, you can, you know, hopefully not catch the car on fire like he did once, or, you know, do some other things that, so you can, it's a life skill. And I think, you know, begrudgingly we did those things when we were kids, but to me it's like, and I said this at his memorial service, it's something that really stuck out to me is, all right, I learned from this. And I learned from not only what he was doing, but how he did it and how he reacted in situations like when the car caught on fire. But some other things about my father. He was a career banker. Okay, so he spent 35 years in the banking industry. His father was a career banker. I'm actually a third-generation banker, as far as we know, tracing back. There may be more. But my grandfather worked for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He spent 30 years there through the Great Depression from 1921 to the early 50s. So I've got this heritage of banking. And because my dad had this heritage too, and I never knew my grandfather, but my dad had a lot of connections throughout the industry. So when it came time for me to sort of branch out and look at internships, I thought about the internship program here and going up to Buffalo for a semester, but then I said, you know, let me see what I can do on my own. Let me see what I can do outside of campus so I can, you know, kind of get that full Houghton experience here. So I started writing to my dad's buddies from the different trade associations that he was in, and ended up getting a summer internship. And in that internship, I got to meet with the president of that bank, and that bank is the oldest bank in the United States, and he showed me the original balance sheet from that bank, which didn't have too many things on it. I think it had maybe 3 assets and 2 liabilities or something. But the irony of it, and it's probably okay to share this, is it didn't foot. Something was wrong with it. So it was an archive piece in this bank now, and it was hanging in the president's office. And you know, hey, if I didn't sort of pursue this with my father, let me just write to your friends and make you happy and try to get a job kind of thing. That's one experience that, you know, sort of this once in a lifetime, as exciting as it may be, I got to see. So then Dad pushed me a little bit more. December of my senior year, and I shared this with some students this afternoon. I was writing letters and doing interviews over Christmas break. Now, who wants to do that over Christmas break? You want to be home. You want to be hanging out with your family. You want to be with your friends that you haven't seen for 3 or 4 months. But I'm writing letters and I'm going out on interviews, and and then did some follow-ups during the spring. So I went to Florida over spring break. Does anybody go to Florida for spring break anymore? No? Where do you go for spring break now? Home. Yeah, it's the economy, I know. So I got the opportunity to go down to Florida, and we spent a week down there. I came back, I had a letter in my mailbox with an offer. So I looked at that and I said that was my persistence, or his persistence on me to say, all right, get out early, get yourself set with what you want to do, provided you know what you want to do, and get your letters out and get the interview process going. And I'd encourage you now, make your connections, get your connections as soon as you can, because the economy is not great. And I don't have to tell you that. That's nothing that you don't know already. But another lesson I learned from this is listen to your parents. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what your family situations are like. I trust that they're good, but there's years of wisdom there that they have that really are going to be imparted into you is if you take that opportunity. Let me turn the other way and look at an opportunity that I lost out on, and it comes back to the time here at Houghton and when Dan Chamberlain here was the president. I don't know, does Dr. Mullen eat dinner in the dining room at all? Does she do that? Yeah, a couple times a week or once a week or something like that, or with some frequency. I don't know how frequent, but President Chamberlain used to come up every week, and he and his wife would sit down at a table, an open table, just sit down the two of them, and just wait for students to come and sit. So as a student, I looked at that and I said, oh, are you kidding me? And I'll be real frank with you here, and you guys can laugh or not, but it was, we see him around campus, and we run into him, we talk to him, listen in chapel. It's like all these times that we would see him, and it's like, I really don't want to sit down and talk. I'd rather be with my friends. Some of the other comments are, and my wife gave me this one. She says, my friends are too loud, and I'd be embarrassed, because she did have some really loud friends. So as a student, the reaction is, do I really want to do this? And that was my reaction 25 years ago. Do I want to sit down with the president and actually have a dinner? Do I want to spend my dinner doing that? As an alum, I look back and I said, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I sit down and take that opportunity? Because what I missed was, first of all, undivided attention. I mean, you sit down at a table with the president. I mean, how big are these tables? You get 6, 8. In some cases, we used to get 12 around them when the chairs, could squeeze them in. But it's a small group. It's an intimate setting. It's a great opportunity to sit down and to talk to somebody who's a proven leader, somebody who's leading the campus and has experience outside of here that can be shared. And you can listen to what the conversation is beyond that, beyond just you're asking questions, but the others that are asking questions too, and the answers to that. Clearly, to me, as a student, that was an opportunity that I lost out on. With my professors, it was a little bit of both here. I mean, Professor Hallberg, Professor Bates, I did spend a good amount of time. Professor Bates came in my senior year, so I did not have as much time as a student with him. I've had more time with him, I think, since then than I did as a student. Professor Hallberg was my advisor through my time after declaring a major. Those professors in the majors, I did spend a fair amount of time with, but those that were outside, in the humanities, in the sciences, I didn't spend a lot of time with them, and I really should have. And it's something, again, that was mentioned this afternoon is what makes Houghton unique is the ability that you have that community where you can be involved in the lives of the professors, and they can be in yours as well. I think it's really something that you want to think about as you branch yourself out beyond just the major. These people are experts in their fields, and regardless of whether you agree politically or with their slant on whatever their positions are with things, it's an opportunity to have a dialogue that you really want to do. Let's go back to